Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Irving City Council for April 10th, 2025. It's a pleasure to have each and every one of you with us this evening. Shanae, do we have any organizational meetings?
Yes, we do. We have one, Miss Mary Higbee from the Irving Heritage Society. 3 minutes, please.
Good evening, Mary.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Stouffer, council members, Mr. Hillman. I'm Mary Higbee, and I'm here representing the Irving Heritage Society tonight. We have partnered with the Irving Public Library, the Irving Black Arts Council, the Irving School District, and the City of Irving to present the Celebrating Irving, the City and the Man for 18 years now. And we have the opportunity to invite you to come to our next event, which is the Irving Trivia on Saturday, the 26th of April at 9 a.m. at the Jack Huffman building just right next door. We invite you to form a team of up to 4 members. We invite you to perhaps become part of a team that's already partially established, or we invite you just to come and have fun. We can guarantee you 3 things. There will be breakfast snacks, there will be prizes, and we will have fun, I can assure you of that. For more information or for an application, 972-252-3838, or go to irvingheritage.com. Hope to see you there.
Thank you, Mary. Shanae, was that? At this time, if you'd please stand, the invocation this evening is going to be given by Pastor Dennis Webb.
Let's pray. Eternal God, our Father, the maker and the creator of all mankind, we come this evening to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to live one more day on your earth. We come this evening as we gather to conduct the business of this city, that you would give us your Holy Spirit's wisdom, and that you would guide us in all that we do. And we pray also, Father, that you would guide all of us here on this dais as leaders, that as we conduct our business, our debates or whatever, that we will continue to keep the spirit of unity, not only in our leadership, but help to encourage it in our city. Lord, we just ask now that you would glorify yourself in all that we do. And we ask it in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. If you please remain standing. Councilman Taylor will lead us in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Kyle. The next item on our agenda is the IPD gang poster winners. So if I could get Chief Sedlak to join me down here in front for that.
All right, good evening, everybody. First, just like to call forward Ms. Gayla Lawrence from the Irving ISD, along with our 3 winners. We have Natasha Dolores Torres, Mia Andrea Escobar, and Fabian Gomez. All right, so in January, the Irving Police Department and the Fine Arts Office of Irving Independent School District sponsored a gang prevention poster contest for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. The students were invited to creatively portray their views on how to discourage involvement in gang activity. The students had great ideas, and they all worked diligently on their art projects. Ms. Gayla Lawrence is the Director of the Visual Arts at the Irving Independent School District. Ms. Lawrence coordinated with the Irving Police Department gang unit and encouraged the middle school students to participate in a poster contest to bring awareness to their peers as well as the Irving community. Tonight, we'd like to recognize the winners of the poster contest. And it was a very, very competitive contest this year. So in third place, we have Fabian Gomez from Lamar Middle School. Okay, yeah, very good. All right, Fabian will be receiving a $50 QT gift card. And in second place, we have Mia Andrea Escobar from Travis Middle School. I'll show you a picture. There you go. And Mia will receive a $75 QT gift card. All right, our first place winner this year was Natasha Dolores Torres from De Zavala Middle School. And Natasha will receive the $100 QT gift card. And we'd like to thank the Irving Police Association, Fraternal Order of Police, for donating the gift cards. And we'd also like to congratulate all of the students for a job well done in a very competitive year.
Well, congratulations to the winners. We're very fortunate to have a great police department that interacts with our young people and brings attention to the challenges they're facing and works with them, and we congratulate the winners of the contest tonight. The next item on the agenda is public comments. Shanae?
Yes, Mayor. Public comments provides the opportunity to our citizens to address the council on items that are not listed on the regular agenda. The council will listen, but they will not respond as they are restricted from deliberation by the Texas Open Meetings Act. While the mayor and council may not respond, you are welcome to contact them directly. Their phone numbers and emails are listed on the website, and a meeting can be requested. If your comments require a response, the follow-up will be handled by the communications team. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. I will let you know when 1 minute is left. Please state your name and address prior to your comments. A professional presentation is requested. Any handouts you wish to provide to the council members should be given to the police officers on either side of the chamber. Please do not approach the dais. Our first speaker is Mohammed Zaman, followed by Sunil Gautam. Yes.
Hello everyone, good evening. I am a resident of Irving area. I want to bring it up to your attention, all the official and everybody in here about my...
Your name and address for the record?
Sure, my name is Mohammed Zaman and the address is 2632 Laramie Street.
Thank you.
Just wanted to bring it up to your attention about my next door Airbnb. Last Sunday around 10:30 a.m. one incident happened. One of the guests tried to break my main door. I have the video recording as an evidence. I called the police, and police found he has some previous charges against him, and police arrested him. The guest couldn't show his ID to the officer. So basically, the Airbnb people are renting the criminals to stay in their houses. Yesterday, the same person came back out of jail, staying in the same Airbnb. So I don't feel safe at this point, not only me, but the whole neighborhood. So I urge to the city to stop this and discontinue the Airbnb in my neighborhood immediately. Also wanted to know if city has any plan to execute any rules regards to the Airbnb rent houses in near future. For example, background check prior to renting the place. Thank you so much to give me the chance to talk. Appreciate it.
Mr. Taban, thank you so much for coming down. We do appreciate it. What I'd like to do is introduce you to our Code Enforcement Director. He is here tonight. Shane, if you could raise your hand. Shane Diller is our Code Enforcement Director, and he'll be happy to answer some of your questions and get your information. We can follow up with you on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sunil Gottman, followed by Maxwell Little.
Hello. Good evening, council member, all staff, and everyone here. I'm Sunil Gautam from Alibaba Hookah Lounge, located at 2238 West Walnut Hill Lane. I have a friend Kumar, Annie, and Adele from other hookah lounges as well. I would like to inform you that all hookah lounges are struggling to survive here in city of Irving. Under current audience, hookah lounges does not have BOIV, food, or anything with entertainment purpose. And music is a part of a hookah lounge, hookah culture. So all we are asking here with you all is the DJ music with noise level limits of city of Irving so that our customer can enjoy their time in hookah lounge. At the same time, it will help all the hookah lounges to survive as hookah lounges. Thank you all. Thank you, members of council, and all the staffs. Thank you. That's all.
Maxwell Little, followed by Fergus Sully.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council. My name is Maxwell Little. I'm currently at 110 West Airport Freeway, residing there right now. I wanted to bring an issue that up, but I think it needs to be addressed, and it's our safety for using share rides on Uber. On Tuesday, I was scheduled to share ride Uber, and I got in the Uber, and the guy told me to put my foot down. I said, no, I'd rather not because my back hurts, so no. He ended up then telling me to kick off the ride, told me I got kicked out of the ride, and he said, okay, you're gonna stop here. He stopped at the de-acceleration lane on southbound Footland Road with cars going by me next to there. He was on the phone with dispatch, and dispatch said, you need to drop him off at a safe location. I don't know why the guy was upset about my leg being on my knee. I didn't have any interaction with any of his, any touch of the mobile except for getting in the vehicle. He told me that I was messing up his glove box and that he was going to call the police on me. As it was happening, the dispatcher told him, hey, you need to put him into a safe area to stop. So he's not on the side of the road, inside. So he turned right on Pioneer, and then he turned left in front of two school buses that had full of children and dropped me off at the car dealership. I called Uber, and I called you guys, called the police, and I was infuriated. My life was put on the line, not because of me, but someone that thinks they can over be authority over me and put my life in danger. So speaking of that, in 2019, I had the same situation. I had a dark paratransit driver pick me up from Westmoreland Clinic and took me back to where I was living at the Remington at Valley Ranch. And he was supposed to turn left to go up to MacArthur, but he missed the turn. He was going to Los Colinas. So he decided to back the van up on the median and reversed it with cars coming at 70 miles an hour past me. So this is the second time that DART has put me in danger. I think it's time, or DART and Uber have put me in a tough situation, a life situation, and I think it's time that we hold somebody accountable for their actions, not because of me, but because their safety of citizens is, in my opinion, they're not taking care of that. In addition, by the way, the CEO of DART gets paid almost $300,000 a year. We shouldn't be paying him the amount of money we are, plus that. I am very upset with DART, I'm very upset with Uber, and I plan on filing charges or concerning an attorney. Thank you.
Fergus Solly, followed by David Cole. And Mr. Scully, I want to caution you first about being diplomatic about your comments, please.
All right. I'd like to use this.
Sure.
Fergus Scully, 1317 Carriage Drive. I'm here just to set the record straight. Last council meeting, the mayor said that 2 women who volunteer for the P&Z board and who didn't agree with the crowd were not treated so well and had to be escorted to their cars by police officers. Well, by process of elimination, those 2 women could only be Vice Chair Debbie Hack and Commissioner Alicia Reyes. I was there, so I thought that was a little funny. Now, I'm not accusing the mayor of lying. Someone else could have lied, but still, on the record, something false was said. So I got the security footage, and it portrays a very different story. You'll see here, that is Debbie Hack being escorted by Ricky Lightfoot. Now, Ricky Lightfoot may be many things, but a police officer, he is not. There are those scary casino protesters, and they move very swiftly down the stairs. Ricky returns with a spring in his step, living up to the name, and here he comes, and pay attention to the upper right-hand corner. That is Ms. Reyes with Gerald Sanguino. Now, there is a group of very scary casino protesters. Why did they go directly into them if they're so afraid? There they go, leaving the building.
1 minute.
The police officer is not escorting them. And down the steps they go. This is extremely problematic. False allegations of misbehavior and false narratives of victimhood being pushed by the mayor and other pro-casino voices are now being echoed by many supporters of David Pfaff on social media, all in an effort to paint the good people of Irving, who righteously came together to exercise their rights and defend their city, as the villains of the story, and it's absolutely disgraceful. Ironically, it was not the people who threatened the P&Z board, but members of this very council who brought Daniel Denny in for a personnel matter in a closed-door executive session. Why? Because he made an open records request to get more information on the zoning proposal. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. David Cole, followed by Emma Petty.
Good evening. My name is David Cole, 1202 North Irving Heights. Mayor, I've had enough. It's time to get rid of Kyle Taylor. We've only got 2 meetings left. I got a little tidbits for you tonight. Kyle, you were sworn in on June 9th, 2016 by Judge Rodney Adams. That night on June 9th, you voted for the minutes for the May 11th meeting that you had nothing to do with. It doesn't get any better from that, Kyle. The first resolution, this is very good timing too. The first resolution that you ever voted for was for Irving to become a member of the Texas Anti-Gang Center. I've never heard of the Anti-Gang Center, but I know we had a bunch of gang unit officers here this evening. And when I walked in, I thought I was to control you tonight. In June 23rd of 2016, you finally seconded an ordinance, Ordinance 2016-9820. You approved a settlement between Atmos Steering Committee and Atmos Energy Corporation to get a rate review. So I appreciate you really sticking your neck out for the citizens of Irving for your first time to put your neck out to second a motion. On December 8th of that year, you voted to approve the budget to build the Irving Museum. You finally did. It took you almost 8 months to do something positive for the city, Kyle. I'm going to keep going on, but I know you helped build the bridge on PUD 6, that I appreciate that. You and Webb started the chicken controversy because Judge Webb admitted that he didn't know where chicks came from, and you said Cadbury. Then you messed up the whole trash pickup.
1 minute.
And then you had 9 years and your steward never helped Jimmy Widener with his drainage problems. And I know he's still mad about that. And that's all joking, Kyle, but I know you've poured your heart and soul into serving this community for 9 years. And besides messing up the whole boards and commissions deal, we appreciate your service. Thank you, sir.
Emma Patty, followed by Susan Motley.
Good evening. My name is Emma Petty. I live at 2805 Wells Road. Sunday's paper had a big, extensive thing about sands. One item that caught my eye was Las Vegas Sands filed paperwork to register lobbyist for the city of Irving March the 20th, the day of the city council meeting. On Monday, the 8th, or Tuesday, the 8th, I sent an email to the city council asking, is it true that the city of Irving has engaged the Sands Corporation to lobby in Austin? I haven't received a reply yet, but what I would like to know is, did you engage them and what we're paying? Thank you.
Susan Motley.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilman, Mr. Hillman, and staff. Susan Motley, 2617 Still Meadow. I'm a 36-year resident, a lawyer, and have an undergraduate degree in political science. Tonight, I'm asking you to strengthen the Irving Ethics Code, Resolution 2014-278, as it relates to spending by political action committees, or PACs, in order to help protect our residents, local government, and the integrity of our local electoral process. Let me put some things in context. As you know, places 1, 2, and 7 are up for election this year, and only one of those 3 incumbents is running for re-election. That incumbent and 2 other candidates are endorsed by a political action committee, or PAC, that has been active in Irving since 2022. 2 sets of facts about that PAC spending concern me and should concern you. Fact 1, since 2022, the PAC has spent more than $100,000 to try to control our city council elections. The money came from inside and outside Irving from only 185 donors, a tiny fraction of the 260,000 people that live here in Irving. More than $66,000 of that spending was used to elect 3 current council members. Place 1 with more than $13,000, place 4 with more than $22,000, and place 5 with more than $31,000. Fact 2. Now, in 2025, that PAC is spending thousands more to lock in control. As you know, on your 9-member council, decisions can be made with 5 votes. If the 3 PAC-endorsed candidates win, the PAC will effectively hold 5 seats, enough to control this council. By March 31st, that PAC has already spent nearly $10,000 to make that happen, and it will likely double or triple that spending by June. The irony, of course, is that the PAC is doing this while some of its donors accuse the Sands Corporation PAC of doing it, even though there is absolutely no evidence to support it. Irving residents, if you worry about what spending by the Sands Corp PAC might do, you should worry about this 6-figure spending by this local PAC too. When PACs dump 5 and 6 figures in our local elections, our local government is weakened, and our future is taken from our hands and put in the hands of the few. Irving needs independent leaders who can make hard but smart choices, not yes men who can be led or controlled by a PAC. Both you as a council and the community as voters have a role to play here. Council, please do 2 things. Number 1, form a committee to further study this. And 2, make appropriate revisions to the ethics code to better control PAC influence over this council. Before PAC spending balloons further out of control, let's fortify existing ethics rules to help ensure that Irving's future can't be bought by any PAC. Fellow residents, please vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, can we take a break to get the screens back up for a second?
Sure.
It's just flashed off. It's been doing this. It's been doing this.
Chris is the one that always kicks it. We need to put a guard around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone write this down for his review.
It was me. No, maybe not.
Oh, they're there.
Okay, Shanae, next. We're done, okay. That brings us to our consent agenda, which is items 2 through 23. Items 4 and 9 will be pulled. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed, or I'd entertain a motion on the?
Can we pull 21 as well?
Sure.
I'll move for approval of the rest, though.
Somebody, Mayor, somebody wants, okay, never mind, 25 is an individual consideration, right? I haven't
25.
gone that far down. Yes, it is. Okay.
Yep. That's the sign there. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. Item number 4 is adopting a position on support for Senate Bill 2118 related to the composition and authority of the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Authority, DART. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Brad.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Senator Parker, for putting this forward. But I mean, I think this would be very helpful. His bill is basically having representation amongst all the cities who are in DART, which is sorely needed, and I wholeheartedly support this, adopting this position. So I would move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. Item number 9 is a resolution approving a amendment to the development agreement between Operation Finally Home to extend the completion deadline and authorize the conveyance of 332 South Britton Road in substitute for 322 South Britton Road. I believe we had some information that was given today on extending that. Are there any questions? John?
Yeah, I have a question for Imelda.
And Mayor Sheena Beaver is here. If y'all wish to speak to her, she is the representative of Operation Finally Home.
Okay. So my understanding of what we're voting on, so the item that was in question during the work session is really more informational and explanatory. That's not part of the ordinance we're approving. Is that correct? The 5 years versus what we have here saying they've actually moved to 10 years?
Yes, the memo I provided you is just to show how their program has terms of agreement that have extended it to a 10-year requirement, yes.
Right, so our vote is really only on, we're going to extend the timeline and we're changing the address.
Correct, it's just extending the agreement that extends the contract of the lot, and it's substituting the lot.
Okay. Very good. So with the changes in the way that they are operating internally and the concerns that were raised in work session, I think, what we're seeing with what they've already done with their agreements, that's something I can live with. So I would like to make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. Item number 21 is an ordinance amending Chapter 8, Article 9, entitled Short-Term Rental Registration of the Code of Civil and Criminal Ordinances of the City of Irving, Texas, to revise registration and insurance requirements. Brad?
Well, I know y'all spoke about this today. I was over in Arlington at the Regional Transportation Council representing Irving. With another fun meeting. And with this, I think it's a good start. I'm all for it. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see the night stay extended. And then I, like Arlington did, like to see ultimately us focusing on some entertainment zones where we limit short-term rentals. It's a very important issue to the residents. I hear it almost every time I go out. We heard it again tonight. I think it's a great start. I think we need to do a lot more, and I will put all that in all your capable hands over the coming months, I hope. So with that, I'll move for approval.
A motion and a second. Would you please vote?
I want to say something real quick, if you don't mind.
Pardon?
I want to say something real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I want to thank this council for taking and looking at a short-term rental registration. 7 years ago, when we brought this, when we started, some of us on council started talking about a short-term rental registration, that council did not want to move forward. They didn't think it was a good idea. And so for the last number of years, members of this council and city staff have been working to come up with the start of a short-term rental registration program. We have made a lot of progress. Like Brad says, though, we still have some places and rooms to go. We all live in neighborhoods on this council, and we all believe the preservation of our neighborhoods and making sure that everything is safe, and those are homes, not businesses that are next to you. This is a start, like Brad said, but there's a lot of work still need to be done, including looking at a longer-term rental registration and wrapping everything up into, if you rent a home, you register your home. So as I come off of this after 7 years of trying to work to get a rental registration program in Irving for our residents to maintain the wholeness of our neighborhoods, this is a good start, and I'm proud that we're able to get this done, at least part of this done, before I got off. So I want to thank the city staff, city attorney's office, and this council for not letting this thing go away and continue to push to protect the integrity of our neighborhoods. And with that, I will second the motion.
Any other further discussion? Would you please vote? Oh, Abdul.
In addition to what Brad say, is this include the background check or credit check or anything like that? Because as we heard this evening, you know, if people who have the criminal backgrounds and things like that and happen to rent the short-term basis and create a chaos in the neighborhood, I think we need to look into the safer neighborhoods.
Certainly. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Shane Diller, your code enforcement director. The ordinance that we have on the books now and the amendments that are proposed before you this evening don't include a specific background check by the city or anything more than the registration required for the owner to declare to us who they are, the operator is, who the registrant is, if the registrant operating the host at the Airbnb, if you will, is different than the owner, and then the emergency contact information for the Airbnb should the owner not be the one that we would wake up in the middle of the night, basically, if the city had an issue there. So there's nothing that gives us the provisions to delve into who's being rented to or the background of the owners or operators themselves. In the situation that was presented to you this evening, and I'd met with the gentleman there, what we do there is work with the police department and have connected with the police department on this one in particular, so that if in fact there's repeated violations of code, law, or ordinance that occur at the short-term rental, and the host is made aware and is not doing what they need to do to rectify the situation, we can step in and revoke the STR if it gets to that. We can issue citations for violations of ordinances that the property has or that the host is performing. And then the language in the ordinance proposed before this evening strengthens and specifically lays out the enforcement process there that staff would use and that the host will be aware of, so that it's much more finite than it would be now.
Mark.
You know, there's talk about other things to do in the future, and I don't want to be going off on that, but to Shane's point, like you talk about the owner, and a lot of companies or people that own rental houses will do a different LLC for each one. So, you know, that's something that's going to have to be looked at too. Is like, you know, just not allowing people to hide behind different LLCs for each different rental property if they're going to be altogether like causing problems with violations. But this is a good start. I agree with what those comments that have been said.
Any other questions? We'll go ahead and vote. And it passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is item number 24, which is a resolution approving a homeless prevention program agreement with Irving Cares. Councilman Taylor will be abstaining from this and has filed the absent affidavit with the city secretary's office. Questions, comments?
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously with Councilman Taylor not voting, so it's 8. Item number 25 is a resolution sign variance 2024-11-9805, considering a sign variance to allow existing pole sign to remain at 39 feet overall height, property located at 3510 West Airport Freeway, Outback Steakhouse applicant, Blooming Brands manager. Did we have someone signed up on this one, Jenny?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kelly David, and I'm with PSC O'Keefer, and I'm here to represent Outback Steakhouse as their signage provider. I'm here today to request a variance for the signage at Outback located at 3510 West Airport Freeway. Just a little bit about Outback. They have been in the Irving community for about 30 years, and they've currently undergone property improvements to enhance their aesthetics of the Irving location and create a more inviting and updated environment. As part of this, they have worked on their exterior and have updated to reflect refreshed branding, providing a more contemporary and appealing look to the area. To ensure cohesive and impactful visual presence, now they seek to update their existing pylon sign, and that would align with the updated national branding of Outback. So our proposal that we've provided involves a redesign to the existing pylon. Specifically, we're proposing a slight reduction in the overall pylon height from 39 feet to 38 feet and 9¼ inches. Also within that, we are reducing the top cabinet, that's where the Outback branding is, and that would be just under 129 square feet. The upgrade to the cabinet up top would also include energy efficient LED lighting, improving illumination while reducing energy consumption of the sign. And then we would clean, repaint the existing pole to a clean black finish, and the overall sign would have its appearance enhanced. We understand that the code has a maximum height of 35 feet now, and so if we strictly adhere to this code, we would have to do a complete removal and replacement of the existing pylon pole and steel structure, which would increase the cost substantially. We also have concerns reducing to 35 feet would negatively impact the visibility to the location, particularly the traffic headed south on Beltline Road. Whenever you're driving that way, that slight elevation provides good oversight to where Outback is located and allows the drivers to get over and be able to turn right when they come under the underpass. In conclusion, we're respectfully requesting the council for a variance to allow for the proposed sign height of 38 feet and 9¼ inches. The minor deviation from the code would allow us to achieve a more updated and aesthetically pleasing site. The new signage would look great, but it's consistent with the recent property improvements that have already been done in adherence with the new branding. It would also maintain the crucial visibility, particularly southbound traffic on Beltline, but also the airport freeway, ensuring accessibility to our potential customers. We also would like to utilize the existing structurally sound pylon, allowing those dollars that they can invest somewhere else in the property. And then we also believe the proposed sign will not negatively impact the surrounding area and would provide a much-needed aesthetic upgrade to the Outback property. Signage is really critical to driving traffic and attracting customers in the restaurant industry particularly, which is a challenging industry, and we feel that this improvement would play a vital role in helping increase revenue for the restaurant and make it more inviting. So thank you for your time and consideration in our request.
Sinead, do we have anyone else signed up?
No, sir.
Questions of the council?
I was going to make a motion.
I've got a question.
He's got
Al's got a question. Al?
Yeah, I noticed, because I've eaten there before, as well as your neighbors. Question, because I noticed sometimes it's set kind of back, and that you've got trees, and so
Yes.
it almost obscures. Where's the responsibility on that on trimming the trees to make sure? Because I'm for this, number one, but I'm kind of curious because I understand why you're probably asking for the higher height, but what's some of the resolution that you see you might be taking? In other words, tree trimming, things of this sort, so they can see your signage and know where you are.
Right. There is a lot of landscaping interference along all those restaurants along that road. And you have to be set back far, like the code there, particularly, we have to be set that far back. And so from a distance, the trees, you can see, but obviously tree trimming would be helpful when you're coming up that access road as well. I don't know if I answered.
My question is, are you responsible to trim it back, or do you have to come to the city, or is that a text dot? What's your knowledge on that?
I'm not sure who's responsible for that, but it's not Outback. I would think it would be the city. I'm not sure, though.
Well, I guess we better check into it. I'll ask our city
Yeah.
manager, I think.
But I noticed along that whole roadway, that access road, all of the businesses, they face that same problem with the trees.
Thank you. John, if you're going to do it, I'll second it.
Motion for approval?
Second.
No other questions? Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Item number 26 is a sign variance 2025-02151, considering a sign variance to allow 3 new directional signs to extend the maximum height in sign areas, to allow 1 new monument sign to exceed the maximum height, and use of aluminum panels to encase the cabinet. Property is located at 401 West Las Colinas Boulevard. The owners are Wells Fargo. The applicant is David McGuire. Are there any questions of the applicant? I'd entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second for approval. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. Item number 27 is a sign variance 2025-032337, considering a sign variance to allow 2 new directional signs to exceed the maximum height and area. Property located at 451 Promenade Parkway. Owners Wells Fargo, and applicant is David McGuire. Any questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. And that brings us to our zoning cases. At this time, if there's anyone who wishes to speak for or against one of our zoning cases, if you would please stand and be sworn in by our City Secretary, Shanae Jennings.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that all statements which you will make tonight to the City Council of the City of Irving will be the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Shanae. Item number 28 is ordinance 2024-446 CP, considering a comprehensive plan amendment change the future land use category from business office to regional commercial at 44216 South Greenview Drive. Is the applicant with us this evening? Mr. Dewey?
Mr. Dewey, I know you're a regular here, but please don't approach the dais. Give the documents to the officers on either side. Thank you.
I will do that in the future.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, members of the council. I'm Jim Dewey with JDJR Engineers, 2500 Texas Drive, Suite 100, here in the best city in the Dallas area, Irving, Texas. I'm here tonight on behalf of the owner for this case that would like to build a 22,000 square foot office, showroom, possibly storage building. I know that the big item or the big question on this case is use. The staff has a position and has had this position for some time that warehousing type uses are not appropriate on the east side of 161. At the same time, I do believe that every case should be looked at individually. If you look at this exhibit, I think it helps give you an overall perspective of the area. All of the property in red is owned by the cities of Dallas and Fort Worth as the DFW airport. There are 8 tracts in green that, for whatever reason, back when that buyout happened, I guess they didn't make a deal, they didn't agree to be bought out, but there's 8 individual tracts left in this area. The north port, if you see the north half of the red, they were fortunate, I guess, and everybody agreed to the buyout, so there's no properties left in that old residential subdivision. And as if you probably know, that if an airport or the federal government buys out land for airport expansion or noise mitigation, it can never be used as residential ever without an act of Congress. So having any type of residential use on these lands will never happen, even though portions of this, especially on the east side, might be some type of reasonable development, but it will never happen. So what can these properties be used for? Of the 8 that are still there, 4 are still houses, residential. There is a nice church continuing to operate as the northwest corner of here. There is a RV park / mobile home park on one, and then there's a commercial business on the north tract, and then our site, as you see, is kind of the irregular shaped tract at the, kind of at the southwest corner here, labeled as the site. That currently has an office. It was originally approved as a house with a large greenhouse. I think that gentleman at one time sold seasonal products with a big greenhouse. That's been gone a long time, and the current owner bought this place, uses it as his personal office, really just a little bit of office. The greenhouse has long been gone. We are proposing a small warehouse-type storage building, storage facility. The other thing I want to point out is, even though this has been kind of the staff policy, I think there's extenuating circumstances related to this site. The first and the major one is we're surrounded by the airport. As you know, the airport, being a federal entity, does not have to have any type of city approval or city zoning. They have been so successful, I can't imagine the amount of money they're getting from all the long-term leases for all the recent development within the airport. Large buildings. If you look up at the upper left-hand corner of this site, those large white rectangles are some of these buildings, distribution centers and large warehouses that have gone in. And if you compare that building to the size of our property, we're not talking about anything anywhere close to similar in terms of traffic or intensity of use. The 2 blue tracks on here are similar uses that this council has approved within the last 18 months. They are on the east side of 161. The most northerly one, labeled as Cordoba Commercial, is the exact same type of use as what we're asking for, the exact. It's about a 25,000 square foot building instead of 22. It's just the exact same use on the exact thing. The one labeled Epic Stone, and the city, the staff was in opposition to the Cordoba Commercial, but this council did approve it, albeit by a close vote. Epic Stone sells slabs of high-end stones, marble, granite, travertine, for the use in the construction industry. The staff did not oppose that one and supported it because it fell under the use of building supply facility, like a Home Depot, a lumber yard. That use is allowed. Those type of uses are allowed on the east side of 161. I don't know that a Home Depot adjacent to some of these would be any more compatible. That building is a 64,000 square foot building. I actually met with that owner today. He's doing another project in Austin that I'll be helping him on. They do have their permits, and they're going to start dirt work in 2 weeks. So that one is imminent and will be there. And I think the point that maybe I may have some disagreement with the staff on is I don't think they considered the airport uses as it relates to our tract. In the staff report, they say that this type of use is not compatible in that area. If we were adjacent to residential or something other, I think it's a little more understandable. But we're completely surrounded by the airport property. And knowing what the airport has done, and just not too far off the north edge of this is all the new warehouses on their property just north of Walnut Hill, and other large buildings. I think that it's not only possible but probable that all of this red area will be developed similarly. I don't know if it's going to be a year. I don't know if it's going to be 20 years. But to think that it's not going to be developed in the manner that the airport has been very successful in developing, I think doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, there's two things that can happen with that development. On that north half of the red, they own everything. So what they would do is they'd get rid of all the streets, and they have one large tract to develop. On this south half of the red with the 8 tracks, they cannot develop in a manner that would block these property owners from having access to water, sewer, roadways. So they're either going to maintain those for the area and develop the portions that they can, or it's possible they buy them out in the future and do the same thing. I have no way of knowing that. You could not get that information from the airport if you tried. So I don't see how allowing this development here in any way, according to the staff report, and let me read a couple of their, if we were adjacent to other uses, but being adjacent to these uses, it says that considering this case, especially the comp plan amendment, there's 3 things this council should look for. If new construction or development conforms to new use standards and concepts, obviously that's going to happen, plus codes and everything. The city's not going to let us develop without that. The area meets all compatibility standards of adjacent uses. There is no adjacent uses to this property. It's all vacant except for the 8 green tracks, and we're not close to any of those tracks. So there are no adjacent uses. The rezoning does not cause any negative impacts on adjacent uses. If there's not adjacent uses, we can't really cause negative impacts. The city believes that we're not meeting those criteria, therefore they're recommending that this development should not go forward. But knowing that, again, the airport will develop this someday,
1
I
minute
think this
left.
small building, 5 minutes?
1 minute.
Okay, thank you. It's something certain that makes sense here. And the other thing I'd like to ask you is, if you don't think this is appropriate for here, what does this owner do? The staff thinks that the most appropriate use is straight office. Now, straight office would have more vehicles, more impact to the infrastructure. I'd like to hit on that very briefly. We wanted access to Greenview, not for trucks. We have already a commercial driveway off of 161. Any large trucks that would come in here, which these typical uses don't even use them much, would all come from 161. But it would have been nice to have it for employee access, encouraging Irving employees to come there. We agreed to not access Greenview. We do have a driveway, but it will be gated for emergency use only. The fire department always prefers to have 2 points of access rather than 1.
Time.
Okay. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have regarding this comp plan change amendment. Respectfully request that you approve this request.
Okay, John?
I have a question for Jocelyn. So, given the fact that we provide street and water and sewer utilities to these properties, would this project be required to pay impact fees for any impact to those utilities?
Yeah, impact fees, what they do is they calculate the difference. So appears there's the house currently, so it's all about the units. So the answer is yes. They would be paying, it'd just be the difference between a house.
Difference between a house and manufacturing warehouse
Right.
uses, and that difference is calculated not based on the what the proposed use is, but what the land use is. Is that correct?
It's based on service units and square footages, and so there would be probably a pretty significant difference between the two. Houses are about 5.3, I think, and manufacturing just depends on the square footage.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Dennis?
Yeah, of course, I said a whole lot today. During the work session, I do support the development of this piece of property. One thing I do want to address is that there was references made about the water supply and capacity, et cetera, because this is a residential area. Well, when I do my math, there probably was about 300 houses in this development at the time. And I guarantee you, if you multiply that times 2, that's about 600 toilets, or if you want to say showers or whatever, which requires a whole lot more water than any manufacturing business that you put there. So I don't see the issue with the water capacity for this area. Again, I've always said it, I don't agree with waiting on the airport or having the airport decide for us as City of Irving how we're gonna treat our developers who are trying to develop property in our city. You know, whatever they decide to build, we won't have no control of it anyway. But I think when we have developers who have not only done other developments in our city, you know, I think that we should try to work with them as best as we can. So I will support this because, you know, you'd love to have office, you know, all along there, but chances are you're not going to have an office product there. And we've got to accept that. And so I will support this development.
Al?
Thank you, Mayor. Jocelyn? During the discussions that were going on between you and staff and the P&Z, it seems like you were all pretty much in sync about this not being a development that ought to go forward. Can you give me a little bit of information on some of the key points that, other than what you already said, that was some of the debate?
It was mostly just it's unknown what DFW intends to do with their property. That's our biggest issue is, you know, we can set something, but we don't know what they plan to do and we can't control what they plan to do. So that was our main thought process.
So we're still in that kind of position at this point, waiting.
And I don't know when we would get an answer.
Well, I've always not liked putting the cart before the horse, so I will not be in favor of this. Thank you.
Abdul?
Thank you, Mayor. After hearing the various comments and the reasoning for the staff to have a second thought on this is we don't know what the airport is going to do. That's the main thing, right? And we cannot wait for airport to make their decision what they're going to use these spaces for. So for that reason, I think we cannot deny or delay the possibilities of the development in that area. I'm very much familiar with this location. The only concern I had previously, which Jim has answered it, most of the truck traffic, if there is any significant truck traffic, that would come through 161 in and out. Am I correct? And on the esters or on the Greenview and the other streets in the area was not affected much by the truck traffic.
Commissioner Kabir, if I could add something?
Yeah.
We're not allowed any access to Greenview. All truck traffic, all passenger vehicle, all employees, all vehicles will have to come from 161.
So your secondary entrance would be only for the employees?
It will be gated and only for the fire department.
Fire department, okay. So I think this is something which we need to look into to see these developments come. There are a lot of other, development opportunities sometime we overlook, but we cannot wait for the airport to make a decision on what they're going to use. So I will definitely support to this development.
Mark. Yeah, so we've seen, well, Irving is a very popular place for warehouses, and it obviously presents a problem for homeowners and apartment dwellers in the area to have that type of use coming in and affecting them. We've seen 161 as a dividing line between warehouse uses to the west and residential to the east. And that is something that we should really try to enforce wherever we can and not allow the continued proliferation of warehouses so where it affects our residents in this way. And that's what's being proposed. A commercial warehouse is being proposed on the east side of 161. And it's up for us today to decide, do we want to continue to allow this encroachment into our residential neighborhoods, or do we not? And I think it's a bad idea. There's a lot of discussion about, well, the property around here is, a lot of it is, not all of it, of course, because not everybody's sold out, but a lot of it is owned by Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, and they're probably just going to come in and put in warehouses anyway. They haven't. You might want to ask, why haven't they? Well, I would submit because in this area, it is not a warehouse area. If we want warehouses to be put in there by DFW Airport, then we should allow them to occur ourselves, because that is going to be an open invitation to the airport to say, come on in. It's not a problem with us in Irving for you to build more warehouses in our residential areas. So please do that. Please impose on our infrastructure. Please impose on our streets and bring in all these additional warehouses where we already know what's happening up by the airport with Valley View and how that's killing our streets and causing us to face all these financial burdens. So I'm very much against this case. I think it's the bad way to go, and we should deny the case.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. So we have a motion for approval and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes 5-4. Takes us to our next companion item with this, which is item number 29, which is State Highway 161 Overlay District, the SP1 CW Detailed Site Plan, Commercial Warehouse, and State Highway 161 Overlay District, 4216 South Greenview Drive. Mr. Dewey.
Mayor, City Council, I'm Jim Dewey, JDJR Engineers, 2500 Texas Drive, Suite 100, Irving, Texas. As far as the zoning, what I want to kind of hit on is this particular owner-developer has built 2 commercial properties on the west side, there's 161 just south here, with the same exact type of uses. And I'd like to, if you can show this, there's 2 buildings. They're exactly alike. One is occupied by Otis Elevator. This is the type of building we're building, okay? It doesn't look like a warehouse. It looks like an office. This building is 10,000 square feet. This one's 22, but the 2 over there combined are about the same area. They do have a loading dock in the back. They have an on-grade door. Otis uses this as a service center. The only thing they store in there is parts they need for servicing elevators. They're one of the largest elevator suppliers, I believe, to DFW Airport. So this was a very convenient location to operate their business. They don't sell products out of it. They have products in the building, again, that they simply use parts for their business. The other building that's out there is basically a duplicate. It's occupied by Kevco Electrical. They're a fairly large-sized electrical contracting company. It's been in business many years. They do mostly large commercial electrical work. And again, it's the same thing. They have crews that go out and do all of their new electrical installations or repairs, and all they have in that building is products or pieces and parts, wire, conduit, receptacles, that the crews take out in their vehicles to go to their job. We anticipate this being exactly the same. The building is going to be built to mimic this. These have been very successful businesses. They are on the west side. But that, even though that is classified as a warehouse, in no way does it look like a warehouse. And this building will be the same. And that leads me into the first of the variances that we're asking for. There is a 40-foot building line along 161. And there's no parking in the first 30 feet. And just like Epic Stone, we asked for the exact same variance, and it was granted. We want the building line reduced to 25 feet. We're putting the building there, all parking, loading, all will be behind the building. There'll be a little bit on the side of the building if you look at our site plan. That is a much cleaner look. I think it improves the look from 161. I think it gives, by far, a more office look than a office storage building. And the other thing, although this building isn't all office, a significant, decent portion of it will probably be office. We're parked up to 40% office. We have additional parking if they want more office, if they don't use semi-trucks for their business. But the building will be built with that ability. And so that's the reason why we're asking for that variance. So with that being said, I'd like to be willing to answer any questions you have in regard to the zoning case.
Questions to Mr. Dewey? Abdul?
If no comments, I would like to.
I'm sorry, I have a comment.
Sure.
Al?
Jocelyn? Okay, here we go again. I noticed that the P&Z aligned itself directly with the first part of this application, meaning the first case that we just passed. The other is, when I look at variances, here we go again, and we're doing variances on that corridor, which tells me that they're trying to put something in there that probably should not be there. And, you know, Jim, in all due respect, you put a lipstick on a pig, that's what it is. So, it may look what it is, but we're not sure, because I can show you right along 114, we were told that that was not going to be, they were going to be warehouses, but it would look like offices. It doesn't look that way. So at the end of the day, here we go again. I think we're in a situation where we've got to stop these kind of things, and especially now that they're asking for a variance. So I am definitely against this.
Abdul?
If no further comments, I would like to put a motion to approve.
Any further comments?
I just have one comment. You know, I noticed, and every time we've had cases, we've always had some kind of opposition from DFW Airport. And I noticed on this one, there's no opposition from DFW Airport. So, you know, I think that says something. It says something to me that they have no opposition, you know, to this. So, good.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a reason not to deal with this, because they don't have opposition. They still have the opportunity to come in on it.
Mark?
Right, I mean, I think they would love to see warehouses started over here. They wouldn't oppose it.
Well, I mean,
which is not a good thing for the city.
Well, I mean, if we're going to start all this stuff, and I'm just made a statement that, you know, there's no opposition, you know, from DFW Airport. Usually if DFW Airport has an opposition to something, they make it be known, and that's the reason I brought that up. At the end of the day, to me, it's a good use, and I'll support this one also.
John?
Thank you, Mayor. Question for Jocelyn on the subject of impact fees. If DFW were to develop their property for warehouses, would we be supplying the utilities, and would they be paying impact fees?
So we would not be charging impact fees. I don't know if they are in our service area or not. I would have to defer to water and some of the other departments for that answer. But we can't charge impact fees to DFW Airport.
So if let's say the properties that didn't sell out last time continue to not want to sell out, and DFW can't turn that entire southern tract into one property, tear out the streets, do their own thing. We've got a street running through there that presumably they would want to use, and that our property owners there would still need to use, that we'd be responsible for the upkeep on.
You're getting into much deeper negotiations than I can probably comment on. I mean, we still have jurisdiction over the individual private properties, but how we would get access and who would regulate those and maintain those streets, we haven't gone there yet. So I can't really comment on that because I don't know how that would look.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I got a question. Could DFW use eminent domain to get those properties?
Oh, gosh, that was before my time.
Somebody ought to know that answer. Nobody knows? Okay, well, we're not casinos yet, but I'm a bet man they could.
Mayor, you got me thinking, Dennis. I'm sorry.
Phillips.
Dennis, but that was a good point. I wonder what was there before and it's still there.
As I understand it, the acquisitions were negotiated and voluntary. There's a number of property owners who did not sell, so that leads me to the belief that this was not an eminent domain acquisition. Oh, that's a legal question. KO, I'm punting to you.
I know I don't know the answer to that. I presume that they do have some authority to acquire properties, but I think as Philip has highlighted, and this is even before my time, all their acquisitions were done voluntarily. And that was not exercised, but we'd have to do some research to confirm that.
I got Brad and then Art.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to flip the script on that one. These properties were all bought out by the airport, and my understanding, many of them, because the airport needed the land, needed the buffer, and nothing could be in those areas, runway areas. So here's another question for KO to flip it. Can we eminent domain the red areas where somehow the airport got a hold of land in Irving and they're just going to plop in whatever they want to maximize the money? Can we eminent domain the red areas back? I think it was red on the map.
Yeah, I would say just likely not. However, it would be competing interest of public purpose. Certainly, they have acquired these properties for airport purposes, and so if I'm looking at the map correctly, you're talking about all the red properties that the airport currently owns. Could the city acquire those properties? Right?
Well, it seems like it'd be very hard for airport purposes because they're across 161. Are they going to land something there? Or? I mean, it just seems like they've got a naked cash grab on whatever they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
And that's what we're worried about.
Yeah, my understanding is the properties were acquired for noise mitigation purposes and to remove those residences from the flightway for the new runway.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
May I answer Commissioner Block's question about the infrastructure?
Sure.
The airport has constructed all of the infrastructure within the airport. They don't have any infrastructure that's not up to par. You know, they extended Rochelle. There's a lot of large roadways that they put in there. They run a first-class operation. Now, it's frustrating that they can develop in Irving without Irving's permission. I certainly understand that. But I just never see the airport, quite frankly, coming here and trying to develop this property, and they will not use the existing streets nor the existing water and sewer. They would have to upgrade it. And that type of development with those long-term leases are so profitable, but that is not something that is out of the question by any means. If you look at the infrastructure and the multiple divided roadways and different roads that they have installed within the airport, none of them are under capacity or under serving. So I don't think that if and when the airport were to develop this property, they're going to try to get by with infrastructure that really won't supply their need. They have no reason to do that.
Thank you.
Abdul, and then I've got Mark and Dennis.
Quick question, Josh. If airport in the future decide to develop what they have done it on Valley View, do they need to have our approvals on that, or they are on their own?
On the DFW property?
Yes.
We have no jurisdiction over the DFW property.
So we have no jurisdiction.
Correct.
So if we don't have jurisdiction, if they want to come in and put anything they want, they could do that, right?
Yeah, we still have the streets, so the streets are public right-of-way.
So I don't find a reason or logic on why we have to wait for what DFW going to do to that property. And because of that, we are, not allowing the other developers to develop. So I think based on the DFW, what they want to do, they are allowed to do, and they don't have to come to us, then I think the other owners who own the other lots or properties over there, they should be allowed to do what they would fit for that lots, right? So that's what my comment is.
I'll go ahead and ask my question for KO. Thank you. So DFW Airport would have the power of condemnation for these lots that have not sold out, either because they want it for their one-way or for economic development. They didn't do that before, but they could do that. Is that right?
That's possible. Yeah, they've got to still show their public purpose for acquiring the properties.
If they had a public purpose of wanting to fill it with warehouses, then they could do that for economic development. Is that right?
It's possible.
Thank you.
There are some limits on using eminent domain just for economic development purposes, but certainly for airport purposes, they do have wide latitude in determining what that would be.
Okay, Dennis, and then Al.
Yeah, I just want to give you a little historical information about that piece of property, because the airport didn't buy that piece of property to try to, gain land to build on. They were forced to buy that piece of property because when they put that new runway in, then the city of Irving sued them. And not only did they buy that property, they paid a 25% nuisance fee to houses back as far as Town Lake 1, Town Lake 2 got a 25% nuisance fee. I know this because I was one of the angry people in the community at the time when they would not, because of the LDN line, they would not compensate the Bear Creek community, which was right across the street. So they didn't just decide this is a good future piece of property to develop. They were basically forced in that lawsuit to buy that piece of property out. And you do notice that they did not buy the apartments. There's two sets of apartments there. They didn't buy those. And that was basically just, some negotiation issues that I had a problem with. But yeah, I don't want us to think that the airport just bought this property because they wanted some property to develop on. So just a little history.
Al.
Yeah, just the thing that always concerns me is when you start to look at when DFW came in, airport, and then there were certain things that Irving did or did not do or couldn't do. Just take a look at the southern entrance, especially where the rental cars are and the Holiday Inn and all the rest of the development down there. That should have been Irving's, and it used to be. So at the end of the day, unless there's a real reason to really get in front of the airport, the impact will still be on us, whether it's infrastructure and the maintenance of roads. We're going to have the ability to have roads. So I just still can't see that we want to get in front of this one. Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
A motion for approval and a motion for second. Would you please vote? And it passes 5-4. That brings us to item number 30, which is 2025-20CP, considering a comprehensive plan amendment change to future land use category from local commercial to compact commercial at 1301 Ron Drive. Is the applicant with us this evening? Are there questions of the applicant?
I'd like to make a motion for approval.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, would you please vote? We got one that hasn't voted. And it passes 5-4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 31 is ordinance 2025-18ZC, considering a zoning change from SP2 to R75, generalized site plan, single-family residential 7.5 to RH townhome and RZL 0, single-family residential RZL at 1301 Ronnie Drive. Questions, comments? Entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
We have a motion and second. Would you please vote? And that fails 4-5. Item number 32 is an ordinance 2025-26ZC, considering a zoning change from CC Community Commercial to ML20 Light Industrial 20 to SP2 ML20A Generalized Site Plan to Light Industrial 20A and Data Center as permitted use at 300 North Loop 12 and 505 North Wildwood Drive. Is the applicant with us this evening on that? Good evening.
I believe I sent in a PowerPoint, maybe? If not, that's okay.
32?
Did he have?
Sounds good.
Anything down here? No.
When did you send it in?
I think over a week ago, but that's okay. I can just speak to it if you guys are okay with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think you're all familiar with edge data centers, so. So this ordinance is to rezone both an existing building as well as a future building that we're planning. This would be for the edge data centers, which is a sustainable infrastructure. We're an owner-operator across the country. We have been in Irving for, I think, a little over a year now, so this would be our second building. We try to be as sustainable as possible through our chillers and other mechanical infrastructure that allows us to have zero water usage towards the city of Irving and a very efficient power usage. The substation right next to our property, we've already secured the power with Encore, and that agreement has been negotiated and signed, and it's done. And then obviously there's the benefits to the community. A data center is very low traffic impact. It's also a high taxpayer for the community, and it will be a single height building, so it won't, disrupt the skyline. And I'm trying to remember some of the other things in the slide, guys, apologize. I think that's pretty much it, but.
Okay. Questions?
No questions.
No questions.
I'd like to make a motion for approval if there are no other discussions.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 33, the applicant has asked that this be postponed indefinitely. I'd entertain a motion on that.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passed unanimously. Item number 34 is ordinance 2024-412 CP, considering a comprehensive plan amendment change for the future land use category from regional commercial to commercial community village at 4105 Esters Road. Mayor, how are you this evening?
So if possible, I'd like to do this for 34 and 35. Mayor, council, city manager, staff, just want to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Rob Dye, 13218 B Street, Dallas, Texas, 75234. Good to be back. I know you guys asked us to come back with a previous iteration of this development, so here we are. We did make a few modifications, and so with that, location here, Walnut Hill and 161, we're on the southeast corner of the freeway there. So just another view of the subject site. Kind of the revised site plan, we came back with the podium style development that we discussed when we were here last time, kind of one of the modifications that we made, which went into a lot of the retail discussion that we had last time in terms of the amount of retail that we were providing with this development and engaging with our consultants and other individuals. What we kind of looked at is still kind of keeping that out parcel that was closer to the street. It gives a little bit more presence, a little bit more connectivity to the neighborhood, in our opinion. We've added some better parking. It also adds a little bit more circulation and delivery for all the tenants that are going to be in that kind of space. And we also left a little area outside for some patio use. Instead of it being the patio closer to the corner of Walnut Hill and Esters, we've moved it kind of more interior, more forward-facing towards the intersection. And so with that, we still kept the same design, the same intent behind the two podium structures that we're looking to put on this site. As you can kind of see here, we did, move them back a little bit, but they do maintain the same shape, size, and unit count as we previously had, which is 575 units. As discussed, you kind of liked the more modern look and feel of this. With this podium construction, you are going to get a lot more glass, a lot more stone, some wood articulations and features of this building that, we think are going to enhance the look and feel, especially, from the street face. And so this is kind of the same renders that we had before, very similar construction that we would provide. The amenities, we'd still kind of bring that Class A plus, approach to this space, the look and feel of the property, both from an amenity standpoint and our interior finishes out. Definitely try to elevate the look and feel here, especially given the type of construction that we're doing. And, some of the design considerations, 2 buildings, 7 stories, effectively 575 units. Councilmember Taylor, I know you had a question in the study session that involved, unit sizes, what that kind of looked like. So we're breaking this down to a 60-40 1 unit, or 1 bedroom to 2 bedroom. We do have 15 3-bedrooms included in there that add for, some families of some larger size, but the 1 bedrooms range from 650 square feet to 850. Our 2 bedrooms range from 1050 to 1250, and our 3 bedrooms are 1,250 and 1,500. So we do have an average size of 877, which for this type of construction is about 50 square feet larger on average than what you're normally going to see in and around the Metroplex. And so we kind of made that consideration, just looking at the demographics here, more family-based, a little bit, even though we have that urban feel, kind of being a little bit on 161, think that we probably needed to shift to a little bit more larger unit. So that's what we did here. It's actually a little bit larger, I think, on the per unit side than what it was in the first iteration when we came back. And so I just wanted to answer that question for you. And then as it kind of relates to the construction aspect, I know there were some questions about that. You do have the 2 concrete structures underneath, which provides a more stable base. But what you get with the compact nature of a podium construction is it is a little bit more connected to the street. And if you kind of look at the site plan here, you can kind of see along Esther's, we tried to bring the front-facing piece of that, and we're going to bring the garage, as they talked about the grade and the slope of this site. We want that, building to come in on the Esther side and meet the street face, so you're not seeing garage, that some of the amenity space there can connect to the neighborhood. We also have some of the amenity space on the backside that connects and kind of front-facing towards the main intersection as well, that gives it a more warm and inviting presence. And then what you get with that is, the walkability in and around those 2 structures. Visually, it feels more appealing. It's a little bit taller, has that appeal from the ground level, but with this kind of construction, you also have noise reduction for all of our tenants, just given they're a little bit more off the ground, a little bit more insulated. We feel it's going to be a better experience for everyone living in and around this facility. And so as I kind of spoke to, the type of materials we're going to be using, it is still wood frame, but you are getting upscale finishes. The exterior is going to have an upscale approach, a more modern aesthetic that we feel is going to be representative of what you guys were kind of looking for when we discussed last time. And so, with that, just I am here to answer any questions that you have, but appreciate you having us back.
Questions? Comments? Abdul?
Since no questions, motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Would you please vote? And it passes 6-3. And we'll now take item number 35, which is ordinance 2023-110ZC, considering a zoning change from SP2 generalized site plan, community commercial, and State Highway 161 overlay to SP2 mixed use generalized site plan, mixed use for State Highway 161 overlay, establishing development standards for development with the variance to the required parking, landscaping, and minimum commercial areas at 4105 Esther's Road. The presentation was given earlier. Are there any questions on this one? Entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
Motion is second. Would you please vote? And it passes 6-3. Thank you, sir. Item number 36, the applicant has asked that this be postponed to the May 29th, 2025 meeting. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Which date?
Or it's ordinance, or 2024-447 CUP, considering conditional use permit to allow an event center within 500 feet of the residential lot and parking
Sorry,
area.
postponed to which date?
May 29th.
Oh, second.
I'm sorry. Got a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. Item number 37 is ordinance 2025-39ZC, considering a zoning change from R6 single-family residential 6 to SP2 R6 generalized site plan, single-family residential 6 with variances to the minimum lot area, lot depth, and minimum front and rear yard setbacks south side of
Avalon Avenue between 3924 and 3936 Avalon Avenue. Is the applicant with us on this one?
I want to move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passed unanimously. Item number 38 is 202544ZC, considering a zoning change from CC Community Commercial to ML20 Light Industrial to 2546 East Grawiller Road.
Good evening. Jason Bernal, 2306 Penn Street. I just wanted to share an exhibit here that was submitted to the Planning and Zoning Review Committee, although I didn't see it in the work session packet. This is in consideration of the fire department requirements for all outside storage to be within 400 feet of a fire hydrant. So as you can see here on the top right corner, this little square here in the red.
Yep.
There's an existing fire hydrant there, and the red dash line indicates 400 feet, and the blue line is the property line. In addition to that, the intent is to provide a fire lane 24 feet wide that can support a 75,000-pound fire apparatus. That's all.
Questions of the applicant? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
Please vote. And it passes 7-2.
Thank you very much.
Item number 39 is considering a zoning change from CC Community Commercial to SP1, detailed site plan, community commercial, with the environmentally sensitive land use per section 3.6 of the Unified Development Code to allow a pet crematorium at 1405 North Union Bower Road.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And it passes unanimously. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. Thank you all for being here.